So today's word, today we are going to cover one topic called as virtue. Have you heard this word? Virtue. Virtue is something which is desirable for the society. Society desires certain behavior from us. That is virtue. Now, there is no topic called virtue in UPSC syllabus. But if you see the previous year questions of UPSC, you will find they are asking questions on the virtue. That is certain term they will give and they'll ask us to explain. Or what do you understand by that term? Second way, they use the word in framing questions. So, understanding about the different terms which are virtue is important for us from the exam point of view as well as for our life to understand about the different terms. This word, that is punctuality, is also a virtue. It's also an ethical standard, right? It's a virtue, that is we expect from a person to be on time, right? So that's a virtue, and we know punctuality means being on time. So that same way, every day we'll try to keep one word which can be the ethical word, so that parallelly along with our syllabus, those keywords can also be covered. At least we should have some understanding. Along with that, one quote we will do. Those quotes are very important from ethics, and those who are writing essay, they know the importance, right? So if we can do these two exercises, which are not part of the syllabus, but most very useful in writing answers, along with sometimes UPSC direct ask question on the virtue by giving the word or by giving the quote also. That's why relevance of these two things is very high in the UPSC ethics. That's why we'll keep it as a habit. It will be around 30 or 40 classes. During this time, if we can cover one quote every day and one virtue every day, our syllabus will be over. I mean that parallel one, which is not the part of the syllabus. Okay. Now, yesterday what we had done, let's quickly revise and then we'll go back to the syllabus. We are in this part of the syllabus, that is we are dealing with the basics. We spent a lot of time on it and it was required, I felt. So we have spent enough time on it. Today we will cover the other topics. So we discussed yesterday ethics. We tried to understand them, and I read your copies also which you have written. That shows the understanding, not from the definition what you have written, but more than that, the kind of examples you have given, that reflects that you are able to understand. Actually, it's an ethical dilemma for us. One way that sometimes you have to enforce the norm, but when you're standing at the power or any place of authority, you also have a empathy that you feel bad to enforce the norm. Actually, it happens when you are an officer also. When you find that some person has committed petty crime, one way is that law says that punish, but other way is that okay, I mean, let it go. So this is the thing, that is one way law is there, another way is the empathy is there, and when these two conflicting values and you are not able to decide what to follow, and there is no perfect solution. You can't say that when you follow the law, it's perfect. You are compromising another value. That means it's not a perfect decision. So whenever there is lack of perfection and you are confused between two values, two ethical values, that situation is ethical dilemma. You are in ethical dilemma. The situation I actually felt while they came, one way that I should have enforced that, but the second way how should I say that? Actually, I felt that was the ethical dilemma. And today's our first topic is ethical dilemma. This was not part of my script, but it happened. Okay. So let's first revise this, then we'll come to the topic, that is ethical dilemma. So yesterday we are in the first topic. We discussed about the ethics, its definition. Whatever were the key words, what were the key words? Ethics are principles and standards which governs our human action. Okay. So the ethical standard and principle and human action were the keywords which we discussed. And when I saw the meaning you have written, everyone have written the right meaning only. But there are few variations which I want to clarify based on the answers I got. One is that ethics is not behavior. Ethics is not behavior. Behavior is the expression of ethics. Means, ethics are standard and principles. Human action is the behavior. When you see the behavior, you get to know about the ethics. But behavior is not exactly the ethics. Okay? Ethics helps you to do certain way. That means ethics help you to behave in certain way. So behavior itself is not ethics. So that clarity you should bring. Because in some answer I found that the ethics are behavior. This statement is there. Make sure that you clear your mind in that way. Because this is very fundamental. The whole topic itself is ethics. So we need to be clear with that definition. Because if you are not clear with that definition, our answer which we will write later will become wrong. That's why I wanted you to write it, because I won't ask you to write every word. That's not. But this is very important. Very important. So that was one mistake we did. It is not human action or not behavior. It is the standard and principle which guides the behavior and the human action. Clear? That clarity please bring in your mind. Relate both the terms, and that's why we saw the relationship between them also. We saw the Sital Devi example, Rinku Singh example. Remember, you can't memorize so many examples. Don't fall for so many examples. Because you are going to write hardly 1 or 2 questions from one topic. So we need to learn such example which can be used in multiple places. If you start gathering examples, so many examples, you will be confused like where to use. So one topic, 2-3 examples are enough. And we need to, if you see the topper's copy also, they remember some example and they keep repeating them. Same principle. Limited knowledge, maximum utilization. Minimum content, maximum utilization. Minimum government, maximum governance. Have you heard this? The government should be less, but the governance, how much they are able to govern, that should be more. Similar, minimum content we have to get, but maximum utilization we have to ensure. So this example, 2 example, sports, when everybody will write about the cricket, we will also bring about the archery. So that will create, like you not only are the fan of cricket, but also you are aware about the other sports also. You are bringing inclusivity by giving example of women athlete as well as the specially challenged athlete. This is the reflection of your inclusive nature. So the example, kind of example you give, it shows your character in ethics. Even in the interview. In interview, the question is not the objective. We follow to give the answer of every question. That's not. What answer you are giving, and from that answer they try to derive the character of you. So the what answer you are writing, that will determine what character you are having. And that way they will give the marks. Right. So this example we need to utilize them in the multiple places. We'll see that while discussion. Then we discuss the interrelationship between them. Then we discussed about this subjectivity nature. With this case we discussed. So you can use as a case study also. Can be asked as a case study also. And this was the common or the most accepted ethical, you can say the basis, principle based on which we can judge the action. So this much we had discussed in yesterday's class. Today our first topic is ethical dilemma. You can write it. Ethical dilemma. I think you have understood ethical dilemma with that example, right? Understood, right? So ethical dilemma is already understood. When we are in dilemma or the confusion, which ethical value I should follow? I know both are correct, both are important, but I have to choose one. And when I am in such situation, it's called ethical dilemma. In our literatures or the scripts, mythological scripts, it's written as Sankat, Dharma Sankat. Have you heard this word? Dharma Sankat. Now I am in dharma sankat, like the which dharma to follow. Dharma means what? Ethics, ethical standard, dharma. That it is your dharma to behave in certain way. Means this is something which tells you what to do. So ethics you can take as dharma. Dharma, you know, right? Dharma. So that is. So when we say dharma sankat, you can use this keyword also. An ethical dilemma is very important. In case studies, they will directly ask you what kind of ethical dilemma you face in this situation. Right? So this topic is important. Not directly mentioned, but the questions very important in the direct theory question as well as the case studies. So it's also, you can use the keyword here, that is dharma sankat. Because we use this Sanskrit words somewhere, like for the compassion we use karuna, right? So dharma, sometimes we use the inverted comma, the word dharma. So these enhances our value addition in the ethics. Okay. So what it is, you can write a definition. It is a situation when a person requires to choose. It is a situation when a person requires to choose between two or more conflicting ethical principles or values. See, there are three characteristics. Just wait. Whenever I make this flow diagram, just wait. There are three basic characteristics of this. I enjoy playing with this. So just don't mind, because if you won't draw here, you can't draw in the exam, right? I can show by putting an image. If I can put images like this, I can put image for that also, but I want you to learn how to draw the flow diagrams and mind maps, right? That's very important. If I can give you the copy pasted wala, then learning like how exactly what is the challenge and these all things you can't learn. Okay, so have patience. This learning will help. So here, if I am writing the characteristics of ethical dilemma, three characteristics are there. Number one, that there should be, first is that there should be the conflicting value. There should be the conflicting values. That means two values are against each other. One is rule of law, second is empathy. Both are important, but both are conflicting to each other. Because one way you have to enforce, another way your heart is saying something else. You are in a situation. We are not talking about right or wrong, but what you are feeling inside may influence your behavior, yes or no? Yes. Right? Suppose you are going to remove the encroachment in the street. Some people have encroached in a street. You got the order to remove them. You took your bulldozer and went to remove them. Now there you found that small huts are there, tents, people are living there, kids are there, women are there, pregnant women are there, elders are there. Now you got an order to remove that place. If you are very hard officer, like that kind of alpha wala. I mean, very, very strict. You won't care. Remove. Who cares? These people. But that is not expected from a civil servant. A civil servant, as I said, should having the head as well as the heart. Now you can't just ask your officers to remove using the bulldozer. Now you are in a conflict. One way they have encroached the public place, that is against the law, against the rule. Second way, your heart is saying since they are poor, it should not be removed. Where they will go? Okay, let's not talk about the solution here. But what we need to recognize here is that two different values are there. One is my professional duty says loyalty towards my senior which has given me order, or my professional duty is there. Second is my personal value is there of empathy. Right? So two are there again. So this kind of situation can be whenever there are conflicting values. Example we'll discuss. Second is that there is no perfect solution. Second is that no perfect solution. When there is perfect solution, there is no dilemma. If I say that the following the rule of law is the perfect, there is no value of empathy at all, no dilemma. I don't have to care about the empathy. But since it is taught to me as a civil servant, as a human being, empathy is important. So you can't say that's a perfect when you are just crushing them. It's not right, no? How can it be the perfect? Some people suffered. And the last is that there should be significant consequences. Significant consequences. That means when you are taking that decision, it is coming because whenever you are taking any decision or choice, you have to take any decision. During that, if the situation is you are finding two or more conflicting value, there is no perfect solution. If you take one value and then there is, by taking that decision, you have to have there is significant consequences because of that. Means that it is going to impact if you choose either one. If you choose the empathy, then also there is problem. You will get, you are not following the law. If you choose the rule of law, that is the remove them, then also the problem, you will feel guilty throughout maybe your life. Right? So both have the significant consequence. And that situation when arises, it's called as the ethical dilemma. Now you can write these three characteristics. This is the example you can give. Removal of encroachment. And this is very common problem civil servant face. One is the rule of law, second is the empathy. Whenever we write the ethical dilemma, always we write verses. This versus that. Because we are saying the conflict. Over. Next, we'll discuss this later. Next topic is morals. Morals. Keyword moral. I had already explained about what is moral. Morals are also the principle and standards, but it is decided by who? Individual. Right. So this let's write this definition because understanding is already there. So no need to invest a lot of time here. Write a definition. Morals are individuals apostrophe S, okay, individuals personal standards and principles which guides his or her action. Now, if you see the definition, see there are, if you Google it, you will get so many definitions. That's not an issue. Okay, not an issue to get a definition. What we need in ethics, remember, what we need in ethics is that utilization of the concept to right answer. Because our class approach have the motto, be ethical and write ethical. So our approach should be how we are going to use that. So if you see the definition, I have not made a major change in it. The standard definition, if you see, it says morals are an individual's personal beliefs and convictions about right and wrong, shaped by upbringing, culture and conscience. Now, if I give this definition, you can get anywhere this definition. A book is there now. You can this handout you will get now. You will get the definition. But anyhow, you can get this. But what I want you is that to write it. Now read that. And if I give this definition, both are not different. It's not like the both are giving different meaning. One is saying it is individual's personal standard and principle. Here it is saying individual's personal belief and conviction. What's the difference? Belief means my standard, what I believe as standard, principle. If I write that and if somebody write that, will the examiner will mark that wrong and this right? No. Ultimately, what examiner wants? They don't want like that this definition is from which book. They want whether the student know the subject or not. And also they don't want the academic thing. They want the application of ethics in the life. So your understanding matters. And that's why the definition we will create such a way which is easy to remember, to write. Especially for those who are preparing for 26 or 27. You will be having very less time to mug up so many things. Definition, mugging up definition, so many words, humility, punctuality, prudence, so many words, it's going to be very difficult. So instead of that, we can create the framework for the definition and we can use that. It's exactly like ethics, but only difference we know is that those are the external, these are internal. What is important here which you have to do in terms of knowing the difference? See, one way you can say that ethics are, here, if you see the ethics, if it is the individual, ethics are the external force, or you can say the external norms, which comes from the outside. But if you see the morals are the internal force within, inside the laws, the rules, standards, which is coming, which is influencing the action. Right? Is this the representation? You can make small in the box, in the side of your answer, you can show the difference between ethics and moral. So here you can write is that externally influenced. This is what? Ethics. Externally influenced. This is internally influenced. This is moral. Now, if you can make this is the way you are going to stand different than others not in the definition which is everyone is going to write. So you need to make a small box in the side of your answer, and with this you can present the difference. So what is the morals? You got the definition, right? So here this is the difference between ethics and morals. Externally influenced, internally influenced. Okay. Now the second way you can represent is that this term, see, if this is ethics, if I say this whole circle is ethics, means let's say this is a community or society where they have certain rules. Now if I want to show the moral, it will be this, right? It is the individual's moral or individual standard and principle who is the part of the larger society. So if I represent this as larger society, principles, and this is individuals principles, this is nothing but the moral and this is the ethics. This is the second difference you can clearly see here, is that the moral is the smaller version, that is, it is the individual's standard and principle. Now the individual standard and principle, how it will be coming up or how it will be determined? Based on his own upbringing, how he got the education, how he personally got the upbringing, how he got a certain experience in his life. Every one of us have evolved more or less in the same society. We are following almost same education level. But what individually you are facing in your life, that will determine your morals, right? Like that person, I am coming from here only, hardly half kilometer, 500 meter. But that guy is coming from the 1 kilometer. Now he might have, or somebody is coming from metro or some other places. So they are having their own challenges in their life, which will determine their moral. Which might determine their moral based on their situation. That is individualistic. But since we created as a community, as a society here, as a common rule, so he or she, like the Jitendra is there, he might not follow it, might not be able to follow it, or might not believe in it. But since it is a collectively made, it has to be followed. It happens in society. If you think about the society, in society many things happens. No? Like one thing is that whenever elder is coming in, it's my society, you have to touch the feet. The person may be like, why I should touch the feet? Pusparaj, jhugega nahi sala wala. There is a dialogue, no? Like that. Hindi, I have watched in Hindi, so I know that dialogue, not in Telugu. What is in Telugu dialogue? Tagge dile. Some people call me the brother of Sikhat sir. My brother called me to keep it secret, but not really. Okay, so that may be the social norm, that may be the ethics to respect the elders. But the individual might feel that I don't care about that. I feel everyone is equal, even elder or the smaller. So that is morality, his moral system. So that is moral, and this is ethics. Now, if you want to, you know this person, right? To write an example. Now we understood. Now just to write an example of moral. Now here, what you see the moral of him. Which incident do you remember by seeing this picture, and what moral you can learn from his story?
Dedication.
Dedication, very good. Then, hard work, yes. Which moral value he followed, which others were not following in his village? Not copying, not cheating in exam. He was cheating initially. But then he got a person, that incident happened, he developed a moral value, which others didn't. Cheating in that village, in that society, is it immoral or unethical? It's ethical, because they are making it, they are getting passed. For that village, cheating is not an issue in exam. At least what we got from here, because everyone is cheating. But that guy, when he got the reflection, he developed the moral of fairness. Not cheating in exam. So, he individually developed that value. That is the moral for him. So, not cheating, simple examples, like not cheating in exam when others were cheating. Like Manoj Kumar. Manoj Kumar, na? Sarma? Manoj Sarma. IPS. A 12th fail movie, if you want, you can write. It's an example. You can use it. No issue. So, not cheating was the moral of the person, that's Manoj Sarma. Okay? Clear? Next question. Next topic is morality. Morality. See, morals are individualistic for the individual. But when we say that, when we create that moral as a kind of system, let me give you an example. You will understand. See, when you go to the tribal society, I was there in the tribal Bastar. Mostly the three tribes were there: Gond tribe, Madia, that is Halba, Dhurwa. These were the three tribes prominent in the Bastar, that Dandakaranya region. Now, there, one initiative was started by the administration. They called it as Swet Bastar. Swet Bastar. The initiative was, Swet means white. Now, can you guess the initiative related to? Related to milk. White revolution, you must have heard. No? So, similarly, there was a plan to have the white revolution in that region, because cows, so many cattle are there. So, if we can develop this, then there can be the income enhancement of the tribal. Very good idea. Very good. Okay. So, the plan was made. Everything like government gave the advanced breed cows on the subsidy, infrastructure, cattle sheds, fodders, subsidies were given. so much amount. Now what happened is that initially the focusful things was there, so some success was there, but later on what happened is that it almost could not achieve the objectives. The reason, what was the reason is that tribals in Bastar do not know how to take milk out of the cow. They don't know. Now you say that, sir, in the rural areas, people know that. But their tribals don't. And they don't consume milk also. Now they are consuming because of the globalization and the market is penetrating. But still they don't consume the milk. You know what is the reason? The reason they say is that the right, listen to this very carefully, the right over the milk of mother is in the child. So how can I use as a human of others' mother's milk for my consumption or my economic benefit? See, we are the different society, but how they think about non-human, like the animals, they're thinking that how I can consume the other person's mothers, because they don't differentiate between animal and human. They worship them. They take permission from the tree before cutting it. They do a small worship. They will take permission. They will say that I need your products for my consumption, for my family, for my welfare. Can I take it? Then they will cut it. Now it would be very, the non-significant for us. But for them, it's very important. Now what it is? For that particular community, it's the morality. They created a kind of system, moral values, or a kind of system there that no one will consume it. Right? So that is the kind of a moral system is present there. The system of standards and values, which is common, which is based on the belief, some kind of custom, culture. And for a particular small society or small people. But if you talk about the equality, it's common for everyone. Justice, common for almost whole world. But for a particular area, it's their morality, which is derived from their own customs, culture, or their own belief. Now you can write a definition, small definition. It refers to broader system of standards, principles, shared by a community, which guides their actions and which guides their actions. Okay, so these are more specific to a particular community, particular society. You can write here one more point specific to this. The standards are derived from collective belief, customs, So morality is nothing but a kind of system. When it gets kind of system. Just the change of the word. Morals are the more individualistic, but the common individuals, when they are following, then it becomes the morality. So if you want the relationship between them, so if the moral is for a person, when it goes little broader to become a systematic, it becomes the morality, and the larger one is nothing but the ethics. See, the exact definition, it's not science where you can get the exact definition. There will be overlapping. It's just the understanding of the term. The question will not come like what do you understand by the morality, but the term will be used in the different contexts in the questions, and that way we need to understand that the morality is nothing but when the moral values of common people having the common belief, common custom get like a system. So the moral, morality, ethics, these are the three keywords. Okay. Now see, there are some questions. For example, see this. Differentiate moral intuition from moral reasoning with suitable example. Now this was asked in 2023. Similarly, UPSC have asked some questions like this. Now they use the moral intuition, moral reasoning. These are not written in the syllabus, not the part of the syllabus. But what they are using is a moral word. Now you cannot create, there can be many: moral authority, moral responsibility, moral character. Many things can be created by putting that moral in front of any word. Now we can't memorize every definition, every term we cannot prepare. So here is a requirement of understanding such kind of topics based on the common understanding. If we can create a template, very important to do this thing. See, this word we need to know. We will know this. These are because the common thing. Reasoning means what? Logically thinking, right? Reason with something, whether this is right, wrong. If I will do this, what will be the benefit? If I will do this, what will be the harm? That's the reasoning I am making. But another word is intuition. Intuition means? Don't know. It's my intuition that tomorrow there will be rainfall. Speculation kind of thing. But having some, we say a gut feeling. While I solved the 70 question, rest of the 20 question in the prelims was based on the gut feeling. We say we have this intuition of something to be right and wrong, and it happens immediately. Sometimes what happens, immediately we respond. If a child is in a danger on the road, the mother doesn't see anything. She will jump to save. But the other person might think whether I will get harm or not. Or if somebody has got accident, let's say my friend. I don't have to think anything, I will go and rush. But the other person might reason, if I go there, what if police will come, they will take me, then I miss the ethics class, then punctuality and all, what will happen? Right? So, the thing is I am reasoning. And here, there is no reason, just your gut feeling, your intuition is saying, and you do immediately without any reason. Now, are you able to differentiate? And are you able to see what UPSC is asking? They are asking the difference. They have chosen the term such a way which shows the ethical understanding along with the difference between two terms. Now things are getting difficult when they ask such kind of question. But we need to be prepared, not for these two terms, but we need to be prepared for any other word if they put in front of that moral. Tomorrow they might ask the moral responsibility and moral authority. They might not ask the same word now. So are we prepared for such kind of question? And for that only I kept, if you see the syllabus, there is a other ethical term. for this kind of, that's why I was showing, because of the analysis of previous, there is, I think I removed that, or no, ethics and moral. Yes. I think here it's not there, but I think in that other terms, is it there? So it should be there. Okay, I kept in miscellaneous. Okay, so see, based on the analysis of the previous year question, some topics we need to cover. That's my point actually. This is the difference chart. It is available in the handout. I just brought it to show, because this is not required to be there in your paper. Why? Because they are not asking direct question on ethics and morals. I don't think they are going to ask. Very simple. So keeping that in your class note is, I didn't find any word, but if you know the representation like that, if any way they ask, you have the content to write and you can create the other points, right? And you have the flow diagrams, and those diagrams you can use to write. So no need to unnecessarily feel again see, one point you can write the definition of moral and ethics, second point the first diagram, third point second diagram, fourth point example, fifth point that day we discussed, one is flexible, another is more rigid, one is more enforceable, second is less enforceable. So 6 points can be created easily. If you want this, I have given in the handout. I will be giving this in handout, but I don't think it is required in our notes. The understanding is already there. Okay. Okay. Other keywords I have kept based on the same, like the based on the previous year question analysis. But before that, let's cover this term. This is also the other keyword. So you can create a big heading. Create like other ethical keywords. Other ethical keywords. So under this, the first keyword is the virtue. First keyword is virtue. Virtue, as I explained, virtue is the traits or behavior any trait of a person. Trait means like their character, their personality, their behavior, which is considered as desirable, or it is good. Oh, he is doing very good, like that. Now, can you give examples? Virtue. Honesty is a virtue. Yes, it is desired from a person. Like the person should be honest. Very good. Then. Compassion. These are all whatever good things you hear, na? It should be punctual, ethical. See this. This I taken from United Nations website. All things: sincerity, selflessness, responsibility, respectfulness, resoluteness, reliability, reflexivity. I don't know the meaning of all the things. Punctuality, positivity, patience. The point is all positive thing, which is expected from a person. From the childhood we hear now that don't do this, do this. Don't laugh loudly in front of the relatives. Bring water whenever the relatives are coming. So, there are many expectations. When you do that, you are a virtuous person. When you don't do that, you are a wise person. They can judge what? A person's character can be judged. No? Like, okay, that person is very arrogant, not talking properly, do not behave properly. Whenever I call, doesn't lift my call. So, there can be the many things. We expect that a person should be responsive suddenly. A person should be respectful. Always. Right? So, those all things are the virtue. Now, the thing is, three things. If you want to describe this in a flow diagram, two things we understood here. Whenever we say virtue, it is nothing but the expression, virtue is nothing but the expression of our values, right? What value you are having, that is expressed through your virtue. And virtue determines what? Just now we discussed? Our character. Like which kind of character you are is determined by what virtue you are having. Right? For example, when you say let's say Mother Teresa. Now you say which virtue she followed, which led to determination of her character. Which virtue she followed? Kindness, right? The compassion towards the leprosy patient. Compassion. So the virtue for the Mother Teresa was the compassion or kindness. You must have heard about the Sonu Sood, right? Sonu Sood, he helped many migrant laborers during the Corona period. That shown his way of what you say the humility, his gratitude towards the humanity. Right? So, the moral character of Mother Teresa or the people like Sonu Sood, their character is determined by the virtue. And their virtue, what trait they are following, as determined by what values they possess during their upbringing, during their life, education. Many things can help in determination of this. So, this example, this much is enough for us to know, because there is one topic that is called as the virtuous ethics. When we will cover the dimensions of ethics, there is one topic, virtuous ethics. There we will cover more deeply this topic. But why I brought this term is that if UPSC asks, we need to know one definition, we need to know one flow diagram, we need to know the example, we can write 150 marks. For this kind of topic, which is not mentioned in the syllabus. The topic which is mentioned in the syllabus, what we have to do? We have to cover more deeply, more comprehensively. But which are not there in the syllabus, we need to know the definition, example. So that we should not leave that topic. Okay, adopt this approach for other subjects also. The topic which is mentioned clearly in the syllabus, you should have the proper, broad, comprehensive notes and the knowledge. But which are not mentioned in the syllabus, still they are asking, you need to know the topic, that's it. So that whenever the question comes, at least you tackle that question and don't leave that question. Sonu Sood, what virtue we can write? Gratitude. Or you can say the selfless service. What is the opposite of virtue? Wise. Opposite of virtue is wise. So, if somebody is honest, the wise would be dishonest. Right? So, just the opposite is the wise. Clear? Next. let's cover this. Before covering those topics, what I will give you is the remember this term template. Write this template for all such keywords. We'll use it. If you want to memorize those terms, you can memorize. But my job is to simplify the subject that I am doing. Other things are there in my notes also, as I mean this handout, as well as the book I have also suggested. If you want to memorize those things, that's your that would be the ideal condition. If you want to go for the ideal, you can go. But for me here, my role is to simplify this. Otherwise, you can read from the book only. No? So, as per the exam, what is required, I was not prepared for that topic. 2023 mains I wrote. To be really honest, I was not at all prepared. After that, I started thinking about it, like how to tackle such questions. Then I started generating this template. So what you have to write is that, I have created one, that is, they will give moral and they will give something. Okay, moral, they can give moral Ajay, moral something. Anything they can give. So we should be prepared for that. So if they give moral integer or anything, refers to, you have to write, refers to ability of an individual to, there will be the fill in the blanks, does, to do certain things in accordance to what? Ethical, or you can say the moral principles or values or standards. Sometimes keep changing the words if the same question, same topic is there. The words you can change. Now see, same thing how it will be useful. Just understand and write. Suppose the question is on moral responsibility. Now this is the question. We all know the word responsibility means what? To be accountable. To be like to be responsible means you feel accountable towards yourself to do something for the people or something for other person. I feel that I am responsible to give the best here in the class. Now I can also come here and just dictate things and go also. That's also the possibility. Not to bring this different activities, not to bring the PYQs. That's also is doable. Still I can manage the class some way. Without preparation, without planning of the class, without creating script of the class so that the time will be managed properly. Not required to do all the things. But when I think like it's my responsibility to give best in the class, those who are sitting here for 2 hours, they are giving their valuable 2 hours, I should be giving them best. I feel self-accountability. Nobody is questioning me for that. I am feeling that I should do that. That is because I feel that I should do in certain way. Right? Towards you. Now, if I want to write that, moral responsibility refers to ability of an individual to remain accountable, self-accountable in accordance with the ethical moral principle. That what is the principle I am following here? That I should be the caring about the students. I should give my best. Your time should not be wasted. Those are the standard and principle I have decided in my mind, which is guiding me to remain responsible. And when the responsibility is based on certain ethical values or principle, it will be moral responsibility. So, in simple way, what we have done is that when an action, this responsibility, intuition, reasoning, or the authority, these are all what? Actions. These are nothing but the human actions. When these actions are guided by some moral principles or the ethical principles, that action or the behavior will be called as the moral action. Now, if you know this small flow diagram, if the action is of responsibility, to be responsible towards the people, and then this responsibility is guided by certain moral principle of, let's say, the compassion. I have the compassion towards a child. Two children are going who are hungry, not having the cloth. There is no one is telling me, or no law is that I should purchase some cloth and food for them. But still I feel to purchase the cloth and food for those two kids. What is that? What is that act? Moral responsibility, which is guided by ethical principle of compassion, service. That becomes the moral responsibility, because this responsibility I have taken based on the compassion. But if I am taking responsibility because I am being paid very high, let's say, is there ethics involved? No, I am being paid for that thing. So there my self-interest is involved. If based on that self-interest I am fulfilling some responsibility of this, taking this class, who is the moral responsibility? It's my duty, na? I am being paid for it. So it becomes a duty. Take example of civil servant. A civil servant is going to the office at 10 o'clock, meeting the people, resolving their issues, like the Jan Adalat, Jan Sunwai or something. Will you call that as a moral responsibility? A civil servant, 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the village, sitting there and resolving their problems. What you will call this? Moral responsibility. Because it's not his duty to go at 5 o'clock, that too in village. But still he is going, thinking about the service towards the society. That's the moral responsibility. But if he is going at 9 to 5, so duty, na, he is being paid for it. But there he is doing that beyond that. That is the moral responsibility. When your responsibility is guided by certain ethical principles. Is that clear? Moral responsibility. Now, if you want to write that, you can simply write is that moral responsibility refers to ability of an individual to act in, that is to be responsible in accordance with the moral principles, or by following. This is a little standard or the version of definition, but understanding from this and this, is it clear? Can we write? Let's write for the ethical responsibility, then it will be clear. So, compassion, this becomes moral responsibility. Did you understood this word or not? Moral responsibility? Clear? Let's write an example. Example. Civil servant Five o'clock is too much, huh? 7 a.m. 7 a.m. in village. It's the moral responsibility. Guided by what value? Service. Selfless service. Guided that civil servant. There is one, there are many civil servant does like that. Writing the definitions. What is? You want to see that or you want to write that? Okay. Is it? Have you written this? Is done? So first you want to write that. Now next word you will create by yourself. I'll help definitely. But we need to learn this. First write this. Then see in ethics if you want to first slide. This is not the part of script. Okay. Is it visible this font size? Last visible. Write fast. They have to write 20 questions. And ethics is the most lengthy paper because of case study. The marks are same, but they give 4-5 pages for one ethics question. So there it becomes very hectic to write case studies. This is the sheet I brought today. I wrote before for last exam. These are the keywords actually, ethical keywords, virtues. Like here what it is, they are like integrity, objectivity, impartiality, non-partisanship, like this, neutrality, humility, generosity, gratitude, respect. I used to keep in front of my table in order to see, these are the keywords. When we write answers, we should use them because our answers should reflect like a ethical. So when you use this keyword, especially this first 10 keywords are very important to use more frequently in our answer. That will show your answer to be more ethical. Those are the ethical keywords. I'll share the photo of this in the group also, but you can create your own list of ethical terms so that we use them more frequently in our communication as well as in our answers. The second word here is ethical or moral authority. Let's say create moral authority. We'll create here, no need to create the definition, just to create a small flow diagram here. Now how we can create the flow diagram? Let me create for this and then next time you will create. See, authority means we need to understand here what? Authority. What is mean by authority? Power. Then what is the difference between power and authority? See, power you can exercise anytime over anyone without the concurrence or without the acceptability of other person. Physically, let's say one person is very powerful. Another, mostly the bullies in the schools, and that's a very common example. Nobody have given them that authority to do that. Authority is something which is sanctioned by any legitimate system. That's why you use the word authority when you say, I want to become civil servant. Don't say to gain power. Power is a negative word. Authority is a positive word. You want to gain authority which is sanctioned by the law, by the system, by the constitution. Use that authority to influence people's behavior. You want to change society, right? How to change society? By changing the people. You can't create everything for the people. You have to change them so that they take responsibility of their own life. You can't keep giving them everything like the field bee. How much you will give? They have to stand. In Pradhan, when we used to work, there we have one line. Pradhan don't believe to give 10 rupees free of cost. Oh, sorry, 1 rupee, even 1 rupee free of cost. Pradhan, we don't believe to give even 1 rupee free of cost. But we spend 10 rupee to make that person earn that 1 rupee. You're getting what I'm trying to say? It's similar like the don't give fish. Enable that person to catch the fish. So our approach in governance should be like that. Let's not give even 1 rupee free of cost to the people, but invest 10 rupee to make people capable to earn that 1 rupee by themselves. That will be more sustainable. That's like the empowering people. So we need to invest on skill, education, health, building them, their capabilities. That's the approach. Now, when we say that the authority, from today, whenever you say why you want to become civil servant, don't say use power word. Power is there, the gender difference is also based on the power dynamics only. The one gender thinks it's a superior, another is the inferior. So one becomes oppressor, another becomes oppressed. There is the power gap. There also power, caste based power is also there. There is a gender based power, there is a ethnic based power. Many power is there which is more negative. Now authority, when we say the authority means your ability to influence someone, right? Based on certain legitimate sanction. Someone has sanctioned. As a civil servant or as a IPS officer, you can arrest someone. Can you arrest by yourself? No. There is law which permits you to do that. As a district collector, you can impose curfew in this Ashok Nagar. But can you do that just because normal person? No. It is because it was sanctioned to the district collector to do that as per the law. Then it becomes the authority. But if let's say the 10 rowdies come and then they stop everything, they force the people to close their offices, they come here and ask us to leave. That's not authority. That's power. Can you differentiate? Right. So authority is something which gives it's the ability to, or it's the act of. The action is what here? Action is to influence people. It is the act of influencing people behavior or their action. You are influencing there. When it is sanctioned by law, you call that as authority, legal authority you say. But when it is sanctioned by what? By the moral principles. When it is sanctioned by moral or ethical principles, values or standards, you call it what? What? Yes, moral authority. For example, I'll give you example. For example, Gandhiji was not having any power. Was he the Prime Minister of India? No. Was he the President of INC only one time in 1924? But still, he had the influence over the INC, over the people. He used to stop the movement. He used to say, stop the movement, movement stop. What was the authority? It was his moral influence over the people. His character, which had the influence over the people, which used to give him the authority to influence the behavior, take decisions. I think here I can definitely bring this example. It's relevant. Two things you will learn. See this. One is the moral responsibility. Second is the moral authority. This is the article I wrote in 2021. It is based on my experience of Bastar only. We used to work with the government. So it is the government CSO collaboration, how it brought the effect. But that's not the point we will discuss today. What I want to show you is this. See, this is a district collector, IAS, Rajat Bansal sir. This person. What he did, he stayed in the village. He stayed, night stay in Madarkunta village, Darbha block, district collector Sri Rajat Bansal and deputy collector Sri Kausal Tendulkar in a traditional, having the food. It is the village where I was working. Actually, I was the one who arranged it because I had the good relation with the community tribe, the tribal community there. Our team, Pradhan team, had a good relation. So, sir wanted to stay there to know about the culture. He recently came to that area. Despite this is a left-wing extremist, Naxal affected area, he went there. He stayed in the night there to understand about the people. What you will call it? Is it a duty or moral responsibility to keep his own life under stake in order to serve the people, to build the relation with the community so that he can develop the area. That is the moral responsibility. Now, this person, you see, why you are laughing? So, see, I was having good relation with the people. I used to work for them in the village. I used to stay and I have worked a lot for them. Now, they used to listen to me. Sometimes they might not listen to the government, but they used to listen because they know this person comes regularly. He listens to us. He can speak our language. I learned their Halbi language. He can speak us. So they had this trust over me. Based on that trust, when I used to say something, Didi Karlo, they used to do it. So I used to influence their behavior, not because I was a collector or I was anything. Because of the trust I was having with them. So what is that? Moral authority. And why the collector will bring me there? I stayed with him only. We stayed in the same room. He was staying in one side, another side. Because he had this trust, he knew that this person has the influence over the people. So he can do that. So here, the governance part we'll see in the other classes, but what we can learn, two things. Moral responsibility, which felt by the Rajat Bansal sir. Second, moral authority, which can be gained through the trust. So, other example, you know about Dr. M.S. Swaminathan? M.S. Swaminathan? He was a pioneer of what we call that? Green Revolution. Now, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan had huge influence over the farmers. Now, how he brought that influence? because of his integrity, professional integrity, his care for the farmers, his efforts for the farmer, he get the influence to act, he get the power to influence the people's behavior, and that is called as the moral authority. So here definitely you can't write my example, just for understanding. Here you can write example of Dr. M.S. Swaminathan influence over farmers based on integrity, empathy towards farmers. So he had trust, he could influence them. So the government used to take his help in order to influence certain policies. So these become example. So definition, flow diagram, example. One topic, that's enough to write 10 marker. We can explain that flow diagram. Okay, now what is the next term? Moral intuition and moral reasoning. I have already explained, but if you want to write, you can just write. I'll draw just the flow diagram and an example. Okay. Other words you should create. Moral intuition. Moral intuition. Is nothing but instant judgment of right and wrong. Isn't it? Instantly we judge. Should I go? I gave example of that accidents happened, that one. So when this instant judgment is based on certain moral value. See, instant judgment can also be the somebody thrown the so many notes of 500 rupees. There is no requirement of reasoning, just rush and take the money. But is there moral values are involved? What is involved is that the greed to get more money. So that's not moral value. That's not moral principle. But still intuition is involved. Sometimes we get so much angry. We don't even reason anything. We just, or we act, or we shout, we abuse instantly. Maybe because of certain thing, like If somebody is very angry, even if a person will come and just tap here, just like may get angry. What is that? That's intuition only. But is it moral? No. So not all intuitions are moral intuitions. So those intuitions or those instant judgments which we make, which are based on certain moral values and principles, will be the moral intuitions. Right? So here, if the moral principles are there, moral principles means something which is acceptable or something which is desirable. We know those are the standards, are nothing but the moral intuition. Example, what is the, let's say, the act of saving suppose, have you watched like one video surface in bus? There was a bus and conductor is standing, one woman is there. She actually was about to fall outside the bus, and instantly that conductor grabs him and saves her. So that there is no judgment involved. It's instant. Like I have to do. Somebody is standing. Okay, let her go. That's not moral. Now we are reasoning. Why should I suffer? Right. So that kind of saving a child from failing from the bus. Based on what? Based on humanity. You can say that the humanity value is of humanity, care, responsibility, social responsibility. If these values are guiding a person to save a child when they are falling, then it will be the moral intuition. This is the example, this is the definition, this is the example. Next word is moral reasoning. This is ability to think logically, to decide right and wrong, right or wrong. This is the ability to decide what is right and what is wrong. Right? And when this decision making is based on certain moral principles, moral or ethical principles are guiding this decision making, then it is this is what moral reasoning. I think by this time you understood how to create this. This looks simple, but when it comes in the exam, it becomes difficult. So when you practice it by writing different answers, it will be good. You know, Gaganayan, listen, just 2 minutes. Let's discuss this example, then you write. I'll give time. Gaganayan mission, you know, what is this mission? India's mission to take the human to space, right? Who is the first person to go to the space? Indian? Is he? Or any other person is also? Recently who went? Subhranshu Shukla, right? So that was not Indian space flight. So India's first space flight is going to be the Gaganyaan. It was scheduled in 2000. 20. Now it is scheduled, but earlier it had the pre-plan actually before it, but it is rescheduled to extend it. Now ISRO has increased the time of testing, the actual flight testing. They have extended the time period. You know why? Why they are extending the time period of Gaganyaan mission? One is that they are not prepared, or they may not be completely prepared. Both are different. Completely prepared means you are not ready to take even a 0.0001% of risk of life of those people who will be going there. So they want to be 100% and 110% be assured by the success of that flight. Then only they want to test it. Now what they are doing there is reasoning logically when we should do this testing. And that decision to extend this mission is based on some moral values like the care for the life. Now, see, there are other factors, but definitely this is also a factor which ISRO is considering, which might not be considered if it is in, let's say, in the North Korea or some other places where there is no democracy, or there is lack of democracy, or there is lack of concern about the human life. Second example you can understand is that many times it was allegation over the Europeans or the Western companies that they used to discover the drug, and you know where they used to test. Now also they will go to the Africa to test it. Why? So that even if it is failed, first of all, their people are not dying. If their people will die, then there will be huge issue. But if African people or some poor country people are dying, then it will be given through the money. Secondly, is that they can get very cheaply in the African country. 500 rupees, you get the test. So they are doing the testing of their drug over the African Asian country people, despite any care for how it is going to impact them. But when you are doing the testing with the responsibility, and you are doing the testing only when you are 100% sure, then it is like you are reasoning based on certain morality, not only the profit or loss or the one-sided reasoning from the technical point of view, but also you have certain values of humanity, care, empathy, and then compassion, and these all things. Then you say that yes, moral reasoning is taking place. Same, if you say you had decided for civil services exam to become a civil servant. Suppose your decision is based on the profit and loss, what I will get and what I will lose. There is nothing to, there is something to lose also, but now we won't realize later. But we see the good things, like how it will secure my job, how it will increase my status, social status, and those all things. But if that is also guided by certain ethical traits, like the service towards the society, giving back to society, then the decision making, the act of whether I should choose to become a civil servant or not, that decision is based on certain moral principle. Then you say that you have done the moral reasoning to choose this career. Ready? So that is the moral reasoning. In example, we can give, see, we have to bring the diverse example, and you see that ISRO example, even the agriculture, this whole thing is coming. So ISRO is from the science and technology, and it is in the news also. Actually, yesterday only there was an article, ISRO delaying it. So I read and I thought this is the right place to put that. So delaying This is guided by the value of humanity. Okay. The other moral is that I won't give. Enough I explained. I think by this time you will get the idea like how to create it. Yes? Can you create? Okay. Is it done? This we discussed. Let's see this question. This is 2022 question. What it says, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. Getting? I'll explain the question, but think about it. Take just 2-3 minutes and think about it, and in your mind frame how you are going to write it. Now I'll explain how to write the ethics answer. So ethics answer writing will start here. Yesterday was just the trial, you did good. Today we'll see the structure. See, till now we have, let's why I brought this question is that, see, first part we have taken so much time, 2 class we took to cover this first, because this is the core. The whole subject is based on this. Later is not an issue like how to use them in the public administration. Applied ethics means whatever you have learned, how you are going to use it here. It's not going to be a difficult task. We can do very fast. This is how you are going to use those concepts here in the public services. So it is not going to be the difficult, but we have invested almost 4 hours on this. Now based on this question we can think of like how UPSC is asking. This is a difficult question, not a very straightforward question. Initially in 2013 when this paper was introduced, it was not, before that paper was not there. 2013 they brought this paper. In the initial year they asked simple questions, direct questions, but later on they started making the questions complicated. That is the challenge, we need to accept it. And that's why you see that our approach of class is not going to be just that emotional aspect, ethical aspect to understand the subject. Parallelly we keep this part, answer writing, how we are going to write ethics, because ultimate objective is here is to, we need to write this exam. That we need to keep in mind. Now see, we'll discuss this question, but before that let me give you some brief about the answers, theoretical answers, theory part of this type of question. What should be the framework or structure of ethics theory question? So we'll discuss the framework here. How, I mean, what components are important when we write an ethics answer? The first thing is that in the introduction, how we introduce, the first way to introduce is the definition. Define the keyword mentioned in that question. Suppose here, what is the keyword? Ethics. So we start with the definition of ethics. Here the keywords are, they have directly asked, there is a moral intuition, and they have asked the differences. So I will write like this, 2 parts. Okay. So whenever there is question and there is keyword, we start with defining that word. The second way of doing it is the writing the quote related to that particular topic. But this is don't follow this in every question, because the quote should be relevant to the topic, and deciding the relevancy of the topic and the quote in the exam hall is difficult, right? So generally we don't prefer to write the quote, but if some question came which exactly fitting your quote which you have prepared, put there, right? Put there if it is in the language of the question itself, okay? But most of the time we'll follow this definition, okay? The second thing we need to do, if the question is directly like this, sometimes what we write is that very simple example with at the end of the definition. Simple example you can give. It should not be long example. To give the, basically you are substantiating your point. Suppose ethics is there, for example you wrote, you can write like the integrity of IAS Ashok Khemka. It should not be long if you are writing, but most importantly definition. Second is that what we write is in the body part. In the body part, we need to generate, first we will divide the question and generate the points. Okay, so the point generation in ethics depends, one is that how many points you are generating, second is that examples. Our answer here comes the importance of examples from the different segments, like individual, or sometimes you can give the personal. Don't give personal example in every question. It's not like the every question what you have written, but some question they will themselves will ask like the give example from your life. There was a question like who you consider as role model of your life and what values you learn from that role model. Now here they are asking for you only. You can write your grandfather, father, mother, or any movie star, anyone you can write. Or the, if you are more philosopher like the, you can write about Einstein, or you can write about Gandhiji, whatever is, that's your personal. So sometimes they ask like that. So the personal. Second, very important, remember societal. It is required that you are bringing the dimensions from society. Third, very important is administrative. That is example from administration, IAS, IPS. But here remember, this is the change I brought in this year my ethics paper, that don't only give the example of top level officers. We need to show your inclusivity by bringing the example of even the ground level staff and the workers, even though that constable is also equally public servant like an IPS officer. But most of the answers you will see, or the notes you will see the example IPS, IAS, not even IRS, not even IFS officer. Mostly IAS. It seems like only IAS are the public servant. No, it's not. There are public servant even at the grassroots level, from starting from the ASA worker, Gram Panchayat secretary, Janpad COs, constables in the police hierarchy, Thana in charges are there. So many officers are there. We need to think about them also. If you are able to bring such examples in your answer, that shows again your inclusivity and thinking about the subject in a not IAS centered, but the overall public servant. So that is the administrative. Then comes the organizational. Organizational, here we bring more private sector examples. Private sector examples. Then later on, if you have the space, other means here environmental, science and tech, example from science and tech, international relation. I would recommend to bring this part because the global is missing here. So one example from the global, maybe the international relation, then other science, tech, environment. But the dimension of example should be there if the question is general. If the question is general, My point here is that don't give example only the historical Gandhiji, Ambedkar and Bhagat Singh, Subhas Bose. Your answers should be diverse. That's my point here. Examples should be diverse. That's why you see your notes, the class we are discussing, from sports to movies to science and tech to the administrator to the historical example. The diversity you can observe there. And that I expect from you also when you write. Think from the different dimensions. There are many dimensions, but this 6, mostly this 1, 2, 3, 4 and this global, you need to bring. Administrative because the exam is for that. Societal because we have to think the society. Personal, we need to link that. But it depends on the question type. Then once we start answering the different question, we will learn which example to use, which example where to use. But in general, I am telling this principle you have to follow of inclusivity in examples. The second thing which is very important is the philosophy. Philosophical background. We need to bring the philosophical background of the topic. For example, in this question, what philosophy you can bring? The justification of the topic. When it says the ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. Which philosophy you can bring? Any philosophy? No? It's difficult to bring philosophy, but now it will be easy. Whenever it's coming about the philosophy not always mean the Western philosophers like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, these all. Philosophy also involves our religions. What is said in the different religion, whether it is Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, Islam, Christianity or the Hinduism, any religion, there are different values given. For example, in the Hindu or the Hindu religion, there is about the dharma. No? If we talk about Mahabharata, it is more right based. What is my right? I want this land. The fight is in the right only, right? It is my right, my right. But if we talk about the Ramayana, it's more what is my right to do. What is right to do for the society. Mahabharata is that what is my right. And the whole Mahabharata war was to preserve that right. You know that story, right? But the Ramayana was what exactly right for the society that was being followed. So the point here is that we can bring these examples. That's the philosophical basis. There are other also. Constitution is another philosophy. Constitution is not just a law, it's a philosophical document, especially the initial part. There it is clearly written, the justice. Right? So justice, and when it says the article 19.1, for those who have not covered this, article 19.1 is there, which is right to freedom of speech and expression. You have the right to say anything. But what is article 19.2? You have certain limitation to say. You can't say anything. That means first is saying you have what you have right to do. Article 19.1. What you can say, anything you can say. But article 19.2 say you have to do which is right, not anything which is not right you can't do. That's the restriction constitution will put. What's this philosophy? This is the philosophy behind this article 19.1. Getting? Second example. Fundamental right is about right. What is fundamental duty? About what is right you have to do. You should not destroy the public property. It's talking about the what is our right, but fundamental duty talks about what exactly right it is, what you should do. So that way also we can link. Forget about the philosophers. I'm not bringing them right now because we have not covered. When we will cover, we'll bring it. But this thing we know. At least if we have not covered polity, we know there are fundamental right, we know there are fundamental duty. At least we know that we can say anything, that's the freedom given, but we can't say everything. We can't say anything, we have to be restrictive. That's why you see the censors of the movies. Not every movie comes in its form. There will be censorship. They will check which is right or not. It's not, you have the right to make any movie. But if it is not right, then it can be censored. That we know. So that is the idea behind this. So remember, the second thing here, philosophy, what I will ask you to bring the constitution. Today or tomorrow I'll share the list of articles which are relevant, which is more useful for this exam, that is ethics. At least that much if you are able, you can use them. So the constitution becomes the philosophical background for us. Second is the scriptures, like and the religion. Okay, some Indian philosopher, then Western philosopher. Indian philosophers, Western philosophers. So hierarchy, we need to give the importance to the constitution. That you can change, whether you want to give the importance to Western, Indian, but any one or two also enough. No need to write all of them. That again will depend on the question demand. Okay, so philosophy is the another thing. The next thing is the flow diagram. Flow diagram. We draw. You are learning the flow diagram, right? So if we can present them in some diagram, something like the flow diagram, it increases the visibility of your answer. It can help you to fetch more marks. And last conclusion. Last is conclusion. Here we can write the quotes, the Sanskrit, shlokas, so these are the different elements. See, we will learn these things. Just I am giving you the overview. Everything, flow diagrams we are learning, philosophy we will learn in the next chapter, examples we are getting, definitions we are getting, conclusion, that is the quotes also we are getting. So things will go gradually. This is just your second class. But remember, these things makes your ethics high scoring. If you write just like the definition and just example, you will get average marks. But if you are able to add the flow diagrams, philosophers, quotes, recent examples, diverse examples, these things will make your ethics answers more valuable in terms of getting marks. Okay, now we have just 3 minutes. So now you noted, everyone? Now, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. Now, when it is saying this statement, first you can use this as conclusion of ethics question. Right? This quote can be useful. This is the quote for you today. Okay. So in conclusions we can use this about the ethics. Now it's saying that ethics so in introduction what we will write? Introduction will write the definition of ethics. We all know the difference. Okay. Now the second thing, in the body. In the body, how we are going to divide it? We are going to divide ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. Here, how I will represent, first I will bring the flow diagram here. I will try to make a flow diagram with showing that See, I was not prepared for this, but when you get such kind of things in exam hall, how you have to create the flow diagram, you have to use your existing knowledge. What we know is that certain things we already know. These are, ethics is nothing but values and principles which guide our action. Here two actions it's saying. One, it is saying is that it is, you have the right to do something. Second is that you understand that doing right thing. What things are right to do, right? So this difference you know when you are following certain principles. So these are the principle and values which is guiding my action to understand the difference between these two. So present in this way, in a way, because it's saying that something, ethics is guiding it. What is ethics? Ethics is values and principle. It is guiding my action to differentiate between these two. This much only, if you are learning to draw based on the question, based on your understanding about this question or the topic, if you are able to draw something like this, it will add value. Other thing, then this is in the body first part. Second, you write like the how ethics differentiate between these two. How ethics differentiate. Now you bring the different philosophy, like the constitutional example. That is the philosophical basis. You give the any case or example by writing a point and justifying it. How ethics help the person to do the right thing despite having the right. You give the example from different personal life. Like suppose I had the right to earn more money and accumulate the wealth. I have the right to accumulate wealth, right? But I cared about the society and contributed for their welfare. Ratan Tata example. So he could differentiate between what right he is having to earn more and more, but he also did the right thing, what is right thing to do. So he started Tata Trust. Example from the one person. Similarly, administration. You can bring like the Ashok Khemka example. We'll bring, for example, Ashok Khemka is an honest person. He has the right to think about himself to do in a certain way, but he is not adopting to the normal administrative system and he followed a certain path, not putting his hands below the political pressure or the corruption. So he not only could differentiate between what is his right and what is actually right by resigning from the IAS. So the point here is that we bring the different example and that way we can create the points here from the administration, from the personal life, from the constitution. That example I already gave, Mahabharata versus Ramayana. That point can be brought here, right? So that way we can write this particular answer. And at the end you can use that Sanskrit shloka. That decision making is something, the action should be something which benefits everyone or what we expect others to do for us. So like that we can conclude. This was the difficult question. But still we can write if we know the framework. Now we know the framework is this. How to generate point by thinking from the different dimensions. Gradually once we will discuss the more questions, you will get the understanding like the how to do that. How to create the flow diagram as per the demand of the question, how to generate points from the examples as well as the philosophies, diagram, and then the conclusion. This. right? So this is just the one question. Once we will discuss the other question also, you will get the confidence to write ethics. That for sure. Now you have the confidence of writing essays. Similarly, ethics also, if you follow certain way, generating points based on the understanding. So that was from today's class. We discussed today about we discussed one questions also. Now two questions we discussed. Along with that, let's end this class by revising what we have done. Today we started by this ethical dilemma topic. There are three characteristics. It's nothing but the conflicting values. Whenever there is conflicting values, we feel the dilemma. Then we discussed about the morals, mostly the difference between ethics and morals. These two diagrams we need to remember. We saw the example. Then the morality is the system of morals. We saw this example of this. Virtue, we understood how virtue is created and how it determines our character with examples. Next is that moral, different words we discuss, like the moral authority, responsibility, moral intuition and moral reasoning. The four words we discussed, we created a framework, commonly how we can understand them and write them in answer with example. These differences we discussed as theory part, and this question along with the framework of the answer writing we have covered today. So these are the topics we have covered today, and thank you so much for today's class. We'll end it.